Marine insurance. We heard, British firm of lawyer and Italian firm of lawyer speaking about claims, basically, and safer ships, and the role of marine underwriters with regard to safer ships. And now, we have Mr. Alessandro Morelli, manager of AXA Corporate Solution Italy and chairman of the Loss Prevention Committee at the IUMI body. And he was with us already 3 years ago. He gave a very interesting speech on the Paris Memorandum of Understanding that he will also briefly touch in his today's presentation, although his presentation is mainly focused on the results of the marine hull underwriters, which unfortunately are unprofitable since 16 years. And that's combined with a very heavy and deep shipping crisis. Of course, it's difficult for marine underwriters to make their results becoming profitable when ship owners are losing money in virtually all segments of shipping. So Mr. Morelli will try to cover this issue, and I will leave the floor to him.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mauro, for your kind introduction. This morning, I would like to share with you a few comments concerning the current state of the hull insurance market and its short and middle-term perspectives. Unfortunately, we have to start from claims. We all know that 2012 has been the year of Costa Concordia, but not only that one. A number of major claims took place this year. Last month in San Diego, the IUMI conference, IUMI, as you probably know, is the International Union of Marine Insurers. It took its annual conference, and within the scope of this, we have been updated concerning the current results. This is the slide which has been shown during the conference. Unfortunately, the result are keeping on being poor, and in fact, we have been told that hull insurers are losing money for 16 consecutive years. 2 points to be noted on this slide. First of all, these are the gross loss ratio. Gross loss ratio means paid plus outstanding claims versus gross premium. And gross premium includes the costs which underwriters bear for the handling of the policies. So in order to work out whether an insurer is making or not any profit, we cannot work on basis of gross loss ratio, but we have to deduct from this according to the different markets, but between 20 and 30% in terms of overall costs. That means that a break-even situation can be achieved on the basis of a gross loss ratio between 70 and 80%. And that's the reason why on this slide you see a pink area which covers exactly that area. So the pink area is the area of the break-even for insurers. So you can see that with the exception of the 2003, 4 and 5, where insurers made by some way a break-even or perhaps a small profit, and 2009 as well, all the other years are at loss and at a severe loss. And 2011 in particular, which is almost 100% on gross basis, which for the reason I explained corresponds to 130 net loss ratio. And on top of this, this is quite a young result, because this is at first close in 2012, at second half 2012, in fact at June. So certainly it's a result which is exposed to further deteriorations. A very quick glance to the current Italian situation, which, not surprisingly, is not so much different. You can only see that in 2005, in fact, the results experienced by Italian insurers has been better than the average international. But on the other side, 2006 and particularly 2008 have been very poor. And again, 2011, which shows 70%, is at first closing, so exposed to severe deterioration. And again, it is on basis of gross premium. One interesting thing which has been pointed out during the conference is the impact of attritional losses on as a percentage of total claims. 80% of the total costs comes from attritional losses. That means that the bad results which I have shown comes in fact from 80% caused by attritional losses, with a limited impact from major losses at 20%. Now, if we think that 2011 has been hit severely by major losses, we can imagine that the negative results which have been experienced in the past years, there is no reason why they should not be even worse the moment that major losses in fact start to happen, because unfortunately, although with a lower frequency, but major losses do happen. This is an analysis which has been prepared by Bremer and Salvage Association. You can see that within the period 2000-2011, only one claim in excess of $50 million took place, and only two in excess of $200 million. Despite of this situation, the results are the ones which I just described you. So a difficult situation for insurers. We are aware, of course, that we are acting in a market where our clients, that is to say ship owners, are not in a good position as well. Very quickly, this is the Clarksey Index, which is a weighted average of earnings of the main types of commercial ships. So it cannot be as accurate as such, but certainly it represents a trend. Apart from 2008, before the crisis, where the level of earnings were quite high, the lowest level has been reached in April 2009, immediately after the crisis, but also the last update at July, in fact. The last update is July 2012, is quite low, so the trend is there. So we are facing, in fact, a complex situation. Ship owners have to struggle with freight rates, which probably do not allow them to cover running costs, or anyhow, it does not leave them so many margins. On the other hand, insurers need more premium to improve their results. We saw that we cannot stand so many consecutive years of poor results. And this particularly in order to face the challenges which insurers will have to face in the coming years in order to remain in the business. I would like to touch briefly on two main challenges which to my perspective, insurers will face in the coming years. First of all, the increasing exposures and accumulation of risks, and this with a particular focus on two classes of ships, the large cruise ships and the ultra-large container carriers. So the underwriters will need to understand these new exposures. This is an interesting picture. The ship on the left is the Oasis of the Seas, whilst the one on the right is the Costa Atlantica. If we consider that the Costa Concordia, which hit very much even I would say the imagination of all of us, by some way could be in the middle in the picture, because certainly it is not the largest cruise ship currently trading. And this is something which we have to take into consideration. The situation is even more impressive if we consider the container ships. The Maersk project of the Triple-E ships, 18,000 TEUs, is going to be in effect in the period between 2013 and 2015. the panorama of the ultra-large container ships currently. You see the gray area in the graph. Currently in 2012, we only have 6 trading container carriers higher than 16,000 TEUs. In 2015, there will be 26 of them. And even the composition of the lower class, between 13 and 16,000 TEUs, will increase. What is the effect of this in terms of exposures and accumulation? New cruise ship, the Oasis is roughly valued $1 billion. As container carriers is concerned, the picture is even more impressive, since from one side we have the hull value, which can be estimated at $500 million. It could be slightly lower than this, but this is the region. But moreover, the 18,000 TEUs carrying capacity, considering an average value of between $50,000 and $100,000 per container, produces a total cargo value between 900 million and 1.8 billion, which added to the hull value gives a potential exposure around $2 billion. Can be lower on this, but let's say that we stay between 1 billion for the passengers and 2 billion for the large containers, including their cargo. So in this situation, the question is there enough capacity in respect of this panorama? This is a rough estimate which we worked out according to our internal evidences, so it cannot be completely reliable. I took into account European markets. I didn't consider Far East ones. I don't think capacity should be increased too much. On top of this, there are certain capacities which could be accumulated. When I talk, for instance, about our capacity as AXA in France and in Italy, it cannot be accumulated. But let's say that overall we can think of a total capacity of the insurance market, current capacity of $1 billion. One small point, in order to not to hurt my Italian colleagues, to be neutral, I decided to list the Italian capacity in a strict alphabetical order. I said to myself, it's not so wise to go down a slippery lane of privileging other factors. Will it be underwriting capacity, premium income, financial rating? So I said to myself, let's put it in alphabetical order. Anyhow, the point is, currently we have 1 billion potential capacity, which certainly in the present profile of risk is enough. It is probably even more than enough. So we are currently in an overcapacity situation, which produces, as far as we are concerned, depressive effect on the rates. Well, what about the future? In the future, certainly the exposure of $2 billion, which I mentioned concerning large container vessels and their cargo, could not be sufficiently covered by 1 billion current capacity. The second challenge I would like to mention is the one which comes from the need for underwriters to adopt to the next coming into force of Solvency II. Solvency II is the European scheme which is scheduled to enter into force from 1st of January 2014, so quite close to us. It's aimed at a greater stabilization of the insurance markets, and it will determine the amount of capital which will be required to face insurance exposures, also looking backwards to what we just commented, and to balance instability factors. In this situation, certainly insurers will be required to adopt internal model of risk assessment and will need to pay greater attention to the profitability of the insurance operations. Certainly insurance will need to achieve combined ratios. When we talk about combined ratio, we mean that all costs involving the insurance operation have to be included. Today we consider a combined ratio at 95–97%. So we will have to keep this into mind. But even the combined ratio concept is going to evolve into the economic combined ratio, which will take into account the time value, which is determined by the cash flow management, and the cost of risk. So this is the second challenge we will be facing within the scope of a couple of years, not more than this. So to come to conclusions, a difficult situation for both ship owners and insurers, and important challenges facing the insurers, which make it inevitable to improve the results, but with a limited margin of maneuver on premium due to the situation of the ship-owning world. So what can be done? What is the way out? Now, I do not have any recipe, of course. I only want to point out two aspects. The first one is concerned loss prevention and risk management. So I think it is important to put into practice appropriate policies of loss prevention and risk management in agreement between insurers and ship owners in order to reduce the frequency of attritional claims. Given the importance, the burden of attritional claims on the underwriting results, any measure, any agreement, any accordance between the two entities which will have an impact on reducing the frequency of claims certainly will have a positive impact on results. The shipping industry overall has been focusing in the past year on these aspects, and great value should be added should be given to the Paris-Mo new inspection regime, particularly with its concept of a ship risk profile, which has been introduced, which should represent for insurers as well a way to differentiate between good and let me say like this in inverted commas, less good ship owners, and particularly ships, in order to be more flexible in respect of ships which show a low risk profile. The second aspect, and I'm closing, to improve the relationship in particularly of establishing long-term relationship between ship owners and insurers, escaping from what I must say we see these days, escaping from the opportunistic approach of changing markets looking for a cheaper price. We need to understand that the continuity in the relationship can help in balancing fluctuating results, which we always have with us. And to favor this continuity, I think more frequent direct contacts between insurers and their clients, of course through their brokers, would be welcome. Closer relationship and deeper knowledge, which arise from continuity, will make it easier for insurers and ship owners to understand the respective difficulties and needs. Thank you for your attention.